Hey everybody, I'm Joy. I am John's youngest daughter of 3 girls. And may I just say that I'm not a videographer. So no judgments, don't send me emails about how bad the quality is, okay? So Dad, I thought that it would be appropriate, since I get messages on a weekly basis saying, you know, I'm so-and-so and I went to Metro and loved listening to your dad and he had such a huge impact in my life. Where did he go? And some people don't know that you're still traveling and speaking. So I thought that I would just ask you, you know, if you want to answer the question, where'd you go?
Well, I would like to answer the question. And I appreciate your asking. I have run into a few people through the years from Metro Bible Study, which I had the privilege to speak for Metro Bible Study from 1982 until 1993. Great time of my life.
And I remember running up and down the aisles of Metro.
And I remember you were doing that. And we had good times.
Yes.
Things were changing in those days. And of course, as you know, and maybe some people know, ended with a divorce. And when things were not looking so good with the marriage, which had happened for a long time, but when that finally came out, then I, of course, shared with the man who was in charge of Metro Bible Study and had actually been in charge of starting it many years before, and they'd had several teachers before me. When I shared that with Charles and we talked some about it, some time went by and we would talk on a weekly basis. And finally I said, it looks like this is probably going to happen. And I said, if you're, maybe you're concerned. He said, well, I really am. And he said, I think we probably need to get somebody else to do Metro Bible Study. And I certainly understood that. And it was hard because I enjoyed it so much. And I loved doing it. But I understood it. And I said, well, I understand that. And I said, well, how about next week when I come back, I will share some things that are going on and let people know what's happening and how much I have enjoyed this and how much I would miss them. And he said no, that was it, not to come back, and somebody else would be there the next week. So it was kind of left, I guess, hanging, because I talked to people later about it. They said nothing was ever said. And I do not fault anyone for that except myself going through it, but that's what happened. So after that, of course, did go through the divorce, which was a hard time for you and your sisters and for other people not understanding, and I didn't explain a whole lot, but I kept speaking. Things did change for the first year especially, but then things started to pick up again, and then and now, some 22 years later, almost 23 years later, I still travel and speak in churches and Bible conferences for business, for education, for schools, for associations, for anybody that'll ask, small groups, large groups. So I'm very thankful for the grace of God and His forgiveness. Not only God's forgiveness, but for some people's forgiveness who have looked at that. And regardless of how people look at divorce, whether they think it's right, wrong, or different time, whatever happens with it, we go through things like that. And so I've found many people who are very forgiving and others who are not. And I can understand that as well.
So thinking back, because I did not really know what happened. I didn't realize, that it was, okay, this is happening, and then, because knowing you would have gotten up and said something, some type of closure. So I didn't realize that it was just, that's it. And so what was your perception, or what did you think happened, or, what was said to the people attending who had been coming for years and loved you, and you had basically fed them spiritually and, you know, mentally, emotionally. I mean, I'm curious. This is, and as y'all can see, this is very casual, and this is just who I am. So I'm actually curious because we've never talked about, like, what did you think happened?
Well, I really didn't know. So many people who came to Metro, I knew, but I didn't know how to contact them. A few people called me and wanted to know what happened, so of course I told them what had happened.
And for those of you who may be, under 30, there was no internet. Nobody could, you know, email it. They picked up a phone and either did this or did this. So if you're sitting there going, how could they not find you? What were you doing? Yeah, there was no social media, there was no internet, so let me just clarify that.
Well, thank you, Joy. I forgot about
Sure.
that.
Yeah, you're
Because when
welcome.
we talk about this is interesting. No one has ever talked with me in depth about this. And I know it was one thing that I had the privilege to do, but it was a major thing to me.